My name is David Miller, and I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I was raised in a middle-class household where my father worked as an electrician and my mother was a school teacher. My father used to tell me, "Son, if you work hard, stay honest, and treat people with respect, life will reward you." I believed him, and for most of my early years, I thought that was how the world truly worked. But as I entered adulthood, I began to notice that things were not quite the same anymore. The values my father instilled in me, commitment, loyalty, sacrifice, seemed less common in the world I was stepping into. The people around me, both men and women, were changing. Relationships were not about building together anymore, but more about what you could get out of them in the short term. In college at the University of Colorado, I started dating a girl named Amanda. She was bright, fun, and full of energy. We were young, and I thought she was the one. I did everything right, or at least I thought I did. I worked a part-time job while juggling my studies, took her on trips, bought her gifts, and gave her all the time I could spare. But one day, I found out she had been seeing another guy behind my back. When I confronted her, she said something that would stay with me forever. "David, you're a good guy, but you're too boring. I want someone exciting, someone who challenges me." That crushed me. I wasn't perfect, but I thought love was about commitment and trust, not excitement like a roller coaster ride. After that, I promised myself I wouldn't get hurt again. When I graduated, I got a job in Dallas, Texas, working as an operations manager for a logistics company. Life was steady, and I was proud of the work I was doing. I wanted to build something real. But society kept pushing me into a mold that didn't fit. Everywhere I turned, I saw men being portrayed as either lazy, incompetent, or unnecessary. Movies, shows, even commercials often made fathers look clueless and women look like the only responsible ones. At work, I had a colleague named Brian Thompson. He was older, divorced, and had 2 kids. One day, over lunch, he shared his story with me. "David," he said, "I was married for 15 years. I gave that woman everything. My time, my money, my loyalty. One day, she said she wasn't happy. Just like that. She took the house, the car, and half my paycheck in child support. Now I get to see my kids every other weekend if I'm lucky." The pain in his voice was something I could feel deep in my bones. Brian wasn't a bad man. He was hard-working, gentle, and decent. Yet his entire life was flipped upside down in a single moment because someone else decided she was no longer happy. Hearing stories like his made me wonder, if this could happen to good men like Brian, what chance did the rest of us have? Years passed, and I saw this pattern repeating. Men pouring everything into relationships and marriages, only to be left broken, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Some turned to drinking, some to anger, and others simply shut down completely. But a different group of men began doing something else. They weren't bitter or hateful. Instead, they chose a different path. They started focusing on themselves. They began going their own way. At first, I didn't fully understand what that meant. But when I looked closer, it became clear. These men weren't giving up on life. They weren't isolating themselves out of fear. Instead, they were choosing to invest their time, energy, and resources into things they could actually control. Their careers, their health, their friendships, their faith, and their passions. I met one of them, Marcus Johnson, a software engineer in San Diego. Marcus had never been married, but he told me he had seen enough to know what he wanted out of life. "David," Marcus said, "I'm not against relationships. If I meet the right woman, great. But I'm not going to destroy myself trying to fit into a system that's set up against me. I've got goals. I'm building my own business, traveling, and learning new skills. I don't need validation from anyone else to feel complete." That hit me. For so long, I thought being a man meant finding someone, settling down, and following the same script my parents had followed. But the truth is, the world has changed. And the script doesn't work the same way anymore. More and more men are realizing that true happiness doesn't come from someone else's approval. It comes from building yourself up, from creating a life that you're proud of, and from refusing to let anyone take away your peace. Of course, society doesn't like this. The moment men start saying, "No, I'm going to focus on myself," the criticism begins. You hear things like, "Oh, you're just bitter," or "You hate women," or "You're afraid of commitment." But the truth is far different. These men aren't running away from responsibility, they're redefining it. They're taking ownership of their lives in ways that past generations never imagined. I saw this transformation in myself too. Instead of chasing relationships that drained me, I started investing in my fitness. I joined a gym, took up running, and eventually ran my first marathon in Houston. I felt alive again. I also started saving money, learning about investments, and building financial security. For the first time, I felt like I was truly in control. It wasn't just me. My friend Anthony from Chicago started his own landscaping business after years of working dead-end jobs. He told me, "Man, I wasted so much time trying to please people who didn't care about me. Now, every morning I wake up knowing I'm building something that's mine. No one can take this away from me." And that's the core of why more men are going their own way. It's not about bitterness. It's not about rejecting love or companionship. It's about freedom. It's about not tying your entire sense of worth to someone else's choices. It's about creating a life that has meaning, even if that life looks different from what society expects. I still believe in love. I still believe there are good women out there who value loyalty, family, and hard work. But I also believe that men have to protect themselves. They have to be wise, careful, and intentional about the lives they build. Because when you give away your power blindly, you risk losing everything. Today, I'm not angry about the past. Amanda's betrayal taught me to be stronger. Brian's story reminded me to be cautious. Marcus showed me the value of independence. And Anthony inspired me to keep building. If you're a man watching this, my message is simple. Your value is not defined by whether or not you're in a relationship. Your worth comes from who you are, the work you do, the values you uphold, and the life you build. Going your own way doesn't mean you walk alone. It means you walk with purpose. It means you choose a path that honors your strength, your peace, and your future. And that, my friends, is why more men are going their own way.